And the river still shines and shimmers in the light as it did in our grandfather's day, when they rode all night to fish in the morning and lived in Willapa Bay.
Gathering, I'm going to say a thing or two here until we... Ale, man, ale's the stuff to drink for fellows whom it hurts to think. Look into the pewter pot to see the world as though world's not, and faith 'tis pleasant till 'tis past, the mischief is it will not last. A.E. Houseman, Terrence, this is stupid stuff. Thank you, my phone, it's Jay. Excuse me. No, it's another MC. I have to answer this. Alana, you're live at the Wet Dog, former Wet Dog, or Astoria Brewing. What can we do for you?
I made a big mistake, and I didn't see that Stefan was scheduled for 7 o'clock at the Astoria Brewing Company. And so he is not prepared for tonight. Basically, he was only on for tomorrow.
Okay, I know who they were.
And my first was that I would perform in his stead, but I'm also on at the exact same time.
You know what? We'll take care of it. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. That's totally on me.
Oh, no problems. No problems. We'll talk about it later.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye. The one thing that's great about the FisherPoets Gathering is it's not a well-oiled machine, and you guys all understand that about it, and you keep coming anyway. And the Fisher Poets who participate in it go with it and take care of problems and solve problems as well. So, thank you for coming. This is Wiest, the former Wet Dog, where it all began 27 years ago, and they were the first people who took an interest in the FisherPoets Gathering, and they've been faithful supporters ever since, now the Astoria Brewing Company. So thank you for coming. We couldn't have a nicer night. And my phone's ringing again. I know how to turn this off. It's Alana again. Somebody want to... I'm so... Alana, yeah.
I can read for him if his spot.
Great. Yeah, come by. We'll talk about it. Yeah. Okay. Good. Bye-bye. We've been doing that 27 years. I didn't have a cell phone all those 27 years either. Do you know how to turn this off? At a certain point, you just got the net in the water and, are down. Oh, I'm so sorry. But anyway, we're underway. Often about this time we get an announcement from the Astoria Department of Fisher Poetry, and it sounds something like this. I haven't got the official announcement here, but this is the Alaska. This is the Astoria Department of Fisher Poetry with an announcement for Fisher Poets in the Lower Columbia region. Fisher Poetry will be allowed for 42 hours from 6 p.m. Friday, February 23rd to noon, Sunday, February 25th. Fisher Poets are reminded of a 15-minute time limit. We have a clock right here at your feet. Good luck and good poeting. So that's what we're about. Thank you for coming. We're not going to take much more time. Our first guest tonight is local boy Pete Gannaway, who's fished just about everywhere there is to fish around here, and we're so glad he's been here in a few years, and I'm so glad he's come back, Pete, from up in Long Beach right now. Pete, give us a song or two and tell us what you know.
Wrong one. Hey? That is right. If I tell you what I know, this is going to be a very short act. So anyway, one thing I had to start out to tell you is any of you who know me know I'm not drunk, and those of you who don't know me that well is I had a stroke this summer, and so I'm slurring, stammering. In fact, if I get stuck on something, I don't mind a little help. And maybe a good time to go get another beer or head to the can or do it. I might get stuck on something. I don't mind. Where's the clock? Better get going with my story and my song. So, anyway, I got this story from this older guy, no offense to most of the people in this room, because I'm an older guy now too, but this guy was born in the 30s, and he had this idea. He wanted to be a commercial fisherman. Now, this guy comes from Minnesota, so you couldn't get further away from an ocean in the North American continent. So, anyway, he also wanted to be a cowboy. Now, kind of sounds crazy, but if you were from that era, lots of cowboy movies, lots of cowboy TV shows. Anyway, so he hops in his old car. I guess he gets to about Buffalo, Wyoming. And guess what? Gets hired on a ranch. Now, this was a day before quads, when he went out and fed the horses and ran the fence or whatever he did. This is more of a hands and horse deal. If you don't get an animal to do it, you got to do it yourself. So this guy did that for about a year, a little over. It says, time to head to the coast and do what I really started out, to become a commercial fisherman. So he heads out and gets to about Idaho, Lewiston, Clarkson, I don't know. And he calls back to St. Paul to his high school sweetheart, this little cute redhead. And somehow, I don't know how, but she talked him into going back to St. Paul. And with no surprise to many of you, that might have been influenced in that manner. Anyway, he gets back there, and he never gets to the West Coast, and he never becomes a commercial fisherman. But he raised 4 boys in Minnesota, and 3 out of 4 became commercial fishermen right out of here. Yeah, and he did eventually move out there. That's how I got the story. And one of them was fished a long time. That was me. I don't know if you noticed the Minnesota accent, but that was my dad. My dad, he didn't tell me this until just a few years before he died. Okay, now step ahead here. I did the very second Fisher's Poet, and I did subsequently almost all of them, except for I called John one day and said, Dad's very sick. It was Friday, just starting. I can't make it. He says, we'll make do, Pete. He passes away on Sunday in the morning, so I drive back here. It's later in the afternoon, and I noticed this Fisher Poet Festival was just starting to bust up, and I went by the event center, and I could hear, I listened to some closing words in a poem and stuff like that, and I thought, wow, Dad selected the day to die. But this is an incredible event. It really is. I went down and I started walking down to kind of make sense of things, clear my head a little bit. And if you thought I cried a little, you'd be wrong. I cried a lot. And I got down and I was thinking, this is an incredible gathering. It really is. You not only entertained and maybe learn something new, but you get culture, you get history, all these things by people telling stories, songs, poems, and it's really, the people who, not just John, but all the people through the years that volunteer, that set these things up, it's great. And I'm lucky to have done this. Okay, I got one song for you, and I think I have enough. And do we have this? Another hot microphone. Very good. And all right, here. This is the hard part. When I was a child, my father and me went out on his fishing boat down at the sea. All day long I would fish with my dad. Those were the best days that I ever had on his fishing boat. My daddy's fishing boat. I loved his fishing boat. A fishing boat. We talked about anything on our minds. Me and my dad were just wasting time. It didn't matter if the fish didn't bite. There wasn't anything my dad couldn't make right on his fishing boat. I miss that fishing boat. A fishing boat. A fishing boat. And then one day I had a child of my own, but I still needed my dad even though I was gone. When things got tougher than they ever could be, I called my dad. He said to me, time for the fishing boat. Son, come on my fishing boat. We'll fish it on a fishing boat. My fishing boat. I tried to teach my daughter, don't make the mistakes I did. But even if you do, well, you're my kid. And I'll always love you like my dad loved me. And if you got troubles, then we'll go down to a fishing boat. Your grandpa's fishing boat. We're fixing down a fishing boat. A fishing boat. And one day, my dad passed away. His old fishing boat still up on the waves. I sure do miss him, but it ain't that bad. I know where he is. He's with his dad on a fishing boat. His father's fishing boat. He's up there on a fishing boat. A fishing boat. On his fishing boat. I got 2 minutes left. Thank you, everybody.
Well, welcome back, Pete Gannaway. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for joining us. I got some fresh news for everybody. We have an on-site poetry contest tomorrow night over at the Liberty at the end of the evening. At the end of the readings, it's at 10 o'clock. If you're wearing a button, you're welcome to participate. And I got the rules right here. We just made them up. So. They are these. First of all, we got a lot of contestants, so you got a 30-second limit, and that's pretty important to keep to. They must include the words full moon. We'll repeat these again. The first and last lines must be the same but different. And you need to include 3 boaty prepositions. Now, a preposition is a locator word, like in or on or under or through or some of those, but the boaty ones are like aboard or a beam or a stern or a port and starboard. I think they could be adjectives, but those will count. And so those things, all right? So 30 seconds is important so we can fit everybody in. Full moon is important. Tomorrow night's the full moon. First and last lines have to be the same but different. And then you got to include 3 boaty prepositions. I want to say a word about ChatGPT. And that's all I want to say about it. All right. Next up, I think, Todd, you're next. I think Todd is just fresh off of merchant ship. He was in I don't know how long you're out there. You told me. I forgot a couple months worth anyway, it seems. He only can make it occasionally. He's been a Bristol Bay fisherman for a long time, but now he's earns his living at sea. He's just got in a day or two ago and has joined us. He's from down the coast there in Netarts Pacific City Country. Thank you for coming up, Todd.
Taking the mic now I'm screwed. Oh, that's great. All right. me. When laboratories grow our meat and robots mow our lawn, humanity will have come off its cleat and drift to another dawn of a shiny new existence, drone delivered to your door, stripped of all resistance and empty to its core. Convinced of this lonely promise, we'll have sold off this poor earth, bringing doom down surely upon us, while being reassured of a rebirth. Just think of the stars and planets we'll find as we hurl from this dying husk. We're not sure of the value, but we'll have saved humankind, and for that we can thank Elon Musk. Don't listen to the doomers, crying it's all a hoax, and ignore all the rumors. They're just jealous of you folks, who have grasped the full potential of such a bold and ambitious scheme, who are awed and reverential to the goals of a rich man's dream. We'll find, they say, a heaven of sorts out there among the stars, an endless and rich network of ports, the first one of which will be Mars. We'll terraform that planet, creating a legitimate Plan B. SpaceX will provide the transit, designing the government and economy. We're not really sure what we'll do on that rock, but we've heard it's a real bonanza. The company's already selling off stock that'll be gone before the end of this stanza. The real excitement is over the water they've found and evidence of a network of rivers. It's true that it's probably just ice in the ground, but the potential gives us fishermen shivers. Could it be that one day those rivers will roll into a vast and shimmering ocean, and that fish will brim until the waters are full, inviting exiles back to their Goshen? Don't wait. Hear me now. This opportunity won't last. Stake your claim ahead of restriction. The best set-net sites will surely go fast once the rest see it's not science fiction. First Alaska, now Mars, a bold new frontier whose conquest is ripe for the taking. No tree huggers, natives, or law there to fear. Your soul you will not be forsaking. Guilt-free, outside nature, we build you this place because we just can't seem to learn our lesson. So cocksure of the divine and import of our race, that new worlds must be our possession. Endless growth and prosperity is our gambit. We've convinced ourselves of this mission. No limits or restraint or blame we'll admit. Who can fault us? We just want to go fishing. Thank you. That's called Martian SetNet Site for Sale. I'm going to read something. This is a really old poem. It actually dates back to probably around the beginning of the FisherPoets Gathering, even though I wasn't here. We used to do a SetNet art swap every year. We were basically just bums that lived on a beach, and we sometimes went fishing. So my first art swap, I wrote this poem. This is my first fishing poem and my first rhyming poem. So it's called Flight of the Fish Choker, probably written around 99, we'll say. Another summer has come to close, and the mighty fish choker, he must go. Away from here and back no more, flying from Alaska's shores. Gone are those, the tides and winds, gone are those, his dear friends, who braved it all another year, who killed the fish and drank the beer, who beached the boats and jumped the fires and told the tales of great liars, who tortured flounder and did laugh, who wrestled kings and held the gaff, high aloft above their heads, gritting teeth as they pulled the leads, on Jimmy's skiff and Bruce's skiff. Their muscles hard, their hands were stiff, for ocean's love and sea to take, the reds they won for winter's break. The run now over, the season done, they must return unto their slum. where romance dies in southern bars, where accounts dry up and spirits starve, where snows do fall and no retro comes, where landlords call and they pass for bums. Until again, they travel north, and on the sea they do go forth to set the nets and risk their lives for shitty pay and poor price. But it's worth it all, they would say, to taste the slime and salty spray for one more time before they pass, and they swear to God this is the last. A real job waits, a girlfriend too, and many other things to do. A whole life there is outside, a whole world from which to hide. That's what they think when times are slow. While mending nets, they ache to go. While filling sandbags or hauling brush, they long to be off in a rush. Down again into the States, into the hollow, hellish 48, where man is measured not by his grip, but by his car and bank slip, where all's for sale and Caesar's reign, where poison works into the brain, where TVs blare for fame's plain sake, and men are lost in its wake. Fishing is a gift, I say, a holy task for which I pray, a godly service that they call rape, but an honest judgment they cannot make. For they have never been away from shore, nor can they walk from home to store, nor pull their boots, nor find their dick. And who, I ask, he's that kind of prick. They just don't know what it does take, nor understand what lies at stake. So think again as you go down, of all their sorrows they have to drown, of all their sickness and their fears, and all our laughs and warm beers. And think of how you'll make your end with soulless wimp or dear friend. I'm kind of going back through an evolution of my fishing. I started a little prose evolution there with the Martian one, but that was my first poem, and then I met my wife on that fishing site, and then we got married a few years later, and then we had already transitioned to Bristol Bay. So this is a poem that I wrote to her on our, it's called For My Wife on her paper anniversary, and it's, we were fishing in the bay at that point, so it's not a set net site anymore, although that was a fun part of our life too. But married up the 21st of June, straight to Knack-Knack for our honeymoon. Now, season 2 as newlyweds, we've left the beach for separate beds. A month at sea on different boats, we'll sweat and toil and smell like goats. The fish we'll catch in 1,000 sets will make us happy and pay our debts. But the time so long and drawn apart, no fish could fill that hole in heart. No catch could match the one we made. No treasure or lure could make us trade. For the rings we wear and gaze upon remind us daily, when the other's gone, of the love we share and embrace, of the strength and beauty of its grace. And a day, a month, an ocean apart couldn't tarnish the luster you give my heart. So on this day, a year of marriage, the light of you rides the sun's great carriage. Across the world, across the bay, it shines on me, our longest day. Okay, I got one more. I'm just going to do one more, because this is also a bay poem, and a dear friend of mine who is he's retired from fishing. I retired from fishing, but he's an older gentleman, Joe Carlson. He ran the Big Red with his wife, Joy Carlson, for many years, and maybe you guys have had altercations with us before, I don't know. But he was an old school fisherman and a great guy to work for, and you know, I miss my Alaska family. That was my Alaska family. This is called I'll Be Your Friend. I'll be your friend. I don't know your boat, don't know your name. I don't know where you're from, y'all look the same. Metal dinghies bombing round don't fit the figures I see in town. Don't match the rigs I wave to on the road. Don't put up stop signs saying, that's so-and-so. If I see an opening, I'll surely set. I'll cork you off like we never met. I'll give you room, but what I see fit. You can call me names. I don't give a shit. I know it's rotten. I know it's rude. But don't blame me for this attitude. 50 years I've been coming here, killing fish and cracking beers, working hard and having fun. I'll be a fisherman till I'm done. And sometimes that means I'll make you mad. I'll take the fish you could have had. And that's the nature. That's the business. You drift the bay, you're sure to witness 1,000 slights to your person. They'll hack and cut without aversion. And most you'll say, it's not worth my time. But God have mercy, you cross that line. I keep a gun under my pillow. Engines roar, black smoke billows. I'll grab your buoy in place of mine. I'll shove that buoy where the sun don't shine. I'll tear your net and cut your rope. I'll thrash your gear till there ain't no hope of catching fish or making mends. But in the morning, I'll be your friend. Thank you.
Todd Waterfield, Netarts, Oregon. Yeah, Todd, thanks for coming this year. It's nice to see you again. And Kat Wiest is his wife and sweetheart and the inspiration for that lovely poem. It's up next. She's also fished herring and salmon in San Francisco and Bristol Bay as well. Come on up, Kat. Thank you.
This first one might sound familiar to some of you. It's called Anchor Problems. We've got anchor problems. 2 on board, but not one that sticks. 2 anchors, but also no anchor. We've got electrical problems. We've got toilet problems. We've got weather problems. We've got battery problems. Today is a good day. We slept 5 full hours. But we've got toaster problems. Our anchor didn't drag and the boat started. We've got reefer problems. Put the net in and started getting hits. Well, we've got radio problems. The fuel barge charged through the district mid-set and ate everything in its path. We towed, of course, but the cork line snapped. That's a problem. We've got carabiner problems. I watched our buoy disappear underneath the AVIC. It might as well have eaten my still beating heart. We got the gear back eventually. No ghost net problems. Have you ever stripped and hung an entire shackle on deck in bad weather with a cold, ripping wind? Of course you have, because we have mental problems. This is when the Coast Guard comes. Not 1 skiff, but 2. Yes, we got a ticket because we have survival suit problems. They left when the anchor started dragging. We've got alternator problems. Even our backup alternator has problems. Couldn't reset the anchor because it had a massive boulder caught in the bowl of the Bruce. Ugh, anchor problems. We've got fish problems. Let's just tie up on the dock. We've got tide problems. We've got mechanical problems. We've got generator problems. A full season of problems in the first week and not one of them solved yet. We're still right side up yet though, and that's a good problem. So that was my husband who just read, and as he mentioned, we we met at a SetNet site in Kasilof, and back then I used to write in a journal every day, so I have this really fun record of like actually meeting him and my first impressions. I won't read any of that. But on June 21st, 2007, the summer solstice, I did write about the very first time I picked a fish. Summer solstice. Tonight, we're having a party. I learned how to use the forklift today. It's a little stressful with Bruce watching. I need more practice. The Montana boys haven't shown up yet. There's a possibility that I could move into a full-time fishing position, but they say that I will make more money if I stay at the buying station. Yesterday, I went to pick lines for the first time. Somehow, I just didn't expect it to be so savage. I didn't have gloves on, and I had to put my fingers into the gills and shake them free, and they are very slippery. Sometimes their eyes pop out. Now that I know what will happen, I think I'm ready for it, but it is really hard to get them out of the net. I like to think that I actually became one of the fastest pickers in Bristol Bay, but we all have to start somewhere. I forgot to look at the clock. How many Ugashic fishermen, dedicated Ugashic fishermen, anyone? Yes, it's my favorite district. So this one might sound familiar to you. It's called Standing Down. This is my Ugashic tribute. Tie up. This raft is getting big. Drop another anchor and be sure that one digs. The salmon are jumping, but Fish and Game says stand down. I guess it's all right. We got lots of buddies around. We've been grinding this district. We've been running all day. So while the river builds escapement, we might as well play. 2 boats became 5. Then 5 became 9. You're all out of beer? You can have one of mine. A pub crawl of galleys, snacks and hors d'oeuvres galore. A good hearty raft-up beats any day ashore. We've got 4 guitars jamming. The mood is happy and mellow. Buoys and buckets make drums. Can you believe Lauren brought a cello? She did. Grills get fired up, side dishes put together. On Anchor and Ugashic, we get pretty clever. We put up a king. Oh, you've got one too? We've got plenty to share. Come on through. The wine box gets empty. The cooler gets low. Skippers nervously watch the tide in case we need to break lines and go. Merriment made, crew members singing. Make haste with that grog, this tide soon will be swinging. First the boats start to jostle. Better get on the bow and check those lines. Yep, it's time. Fire up the engine. Your anchor is crossing mine. Spring lines are now unwinding. It's time to go find our hole. Say goodbye and get on your boat. We had a great time in this lull. Rafting up is like the season. It brings us together and it breaks the flow. I love it. I love you. But now it's time to go. How about that Fisher Poet Stout? I don't fish anymore. I left fishing to become a brewer. Yeah. And then I left brewing to become a copywriter, but I'm still in the beer industry with hops. So I just want to give a shout out to Salmon Safe, the fine folks at Salmon Safe. Yes. For advocating for agricultural responsibility and protecting our watersheds that our salmon rely on for their future. So the Fisher Poets Stout is a collaboration between Astoria Brewing Company, Fort George Brewing, Mount Olympus Brewing, the good people at Salmon Safe, and Yakima Chief Hops. So if you see it out and about, definitely grab one. It's a fine beer. It's made with a single hop, Salmon Safe from Washington. So shameless beer plug. When you're out on a boat, you have limited access to the things that you need, but perhaps didn't address. When you left the dock, you went down the list for essential items that you just cannot miss. The captain, of course, he must keep the boat running. While he sweats in the laths, I'm on the deck sunning. See, I'm just a deckhand, but I've got priorities for keeping my head while living at sea. My favorite picking hook? Of course. And a backup? No, 2. A rotation of sports bras to get my tits through. I bring a set of sleep clothes, only worn in the rack. A month on the water, I bring a set of sleep clothes, only worn in the rack, so I don't stink when I doze. We all have our tricks, our tools to keep sane, but one luxury item I suspect we have same. It's the matter of beer. If you're a dry boat, that's fine. But when it comes to labor, you're not getting mine. Nothing beats a cold beer, a light lager or IPA, a stout, a Weizen, hell, even an NA. Beer is the joy after a job well done. Do you fish Ugashic? Because it makes standing down fun. A toast to my captain, a toast to our tender. Don't get excited, this isn't a bender. Or maybe it is. If the season is done and the hell out of Alaska I'm trying to run. A beer is the comfort when you do the books. Beer is reward for the deckhand who cooks. It's hard on the boat, hour to hour. We deserve these small treats. I'll take 2 for my shower. Now, space on the vessel, it's a meticulous game. Save room for the beer. Don't be lame. It can chill on the deck. Doesn't even need to be that cold. It doesn't bother me. I sit in the fish hold. Until next season, when you make that list for spring, when you run through the essentials of the things you must bring, take my advice. Put suds on the list. I mean, I've already said it. You get the gist. So to fishermen all, in good health and good cheer, I toast to you now. I raise up my beer. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kat. Thanks for coming. Your first Fisher Poet show. We hope you're here next year and many years to come. Well, it's not often we get out of the water early in Fisher Poets Gathering, but we are. And we'll take a little break so you can get up and stretch, and we'll be back here promptly at the top of the hour and have the next little set come through. So thanks for standing down for just a little while.
When his 2 best friends are his only crew, when his own son says he's glad to take the wheel. It's my brother Mike and me, with my oldest son Anthony, on this wooden trawler built in our backyard. Now it's time to set our nets. The big boats haven't got here yet. When you work out here alone, it isn't hard.